have something to say but can't. And the other half have nothing to say but they keep on saying it. Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters and wonderful guests. When we talk about success, it's different for different people. Each person has a set of goals which he has set for himself, and when he achieves those goals, he feels he's successful. Therefore, we can't compare one person's success with another person's success. It's different. However, it's different in this hall because all of us assembled here today, we have a similar goal. And that goal is to become effective communicators, to become wonderful public speakers, orators who will make a difference. However, we can do wonderful things really, especially being in Toastmasters International. But there are certain things which are holding us back. We feel that we have some impediments which are holding us back. Let me tell you the story of a couple of people who have achieved marvels in their lifetime, who have achieved the pinnacle. But very few of us know the difficulties they went through. We don't know the background from which they came. And the first person whom I'm going to talk to you about is Demosthenes. How many of you heard of Demosthenes? There's only one person. Demosthenes was one of the greatest speakers of ancient Greece. Ancient Greece, when you talk about ancient Greece, they were wonderful speakers. They were great speakers. You can think about Aristotle, Plato, Socrates. They would charm the people with their vocabulary, their oratory, their style of speaking, so on. But when we come to Demosthenes, we know that he had become one of the greatest speakers, and today he was in 3 BC. But today we are talking about in 2018, I'm standing here and I'm talking about Demosthenes. That talks about the achievement he gained, that I'm talking about him. But how many of us know his background? Let me tell you. He was the son of a weapon maker, an affluent weapon maker. But at the age of 7, unfortunately his father died. And he was left in the guardianship of the trustees of his father's wealth. He was very frail physically. Therefore, he could not take part in sporting activities. Neither could he do any strenuous physical activity. To make matters worse, he had a speech impediment. He couldn't pronounce the word R. R he couldn't say. And also, occasionally, he would stutter. Now, if you convert that into our local vernacular Hindi, we would say he was a totla and also a hatla. Can you imagine a person like that? We would think that it's impossible for a person like that to do anything in life. Worse still, he had weak lungs. But as he grew older, he started realizing that the people who were entrusted with the trusteeship of his father's wealth were misappropriating his wealth. Therefore, he wanted to bring them to justice. So he wanted to file a case against them. And if you didn't know, in ancient Greece, the person who filed the case had to argue his own case in the court. There were no lawyers for him. So he had to argue his own case. So therefore, he had to improve his speech, his convincing power, and that was his motivation. And he had to do it. Can you imagine the impediments he faced? And you know what he did? He found ingenious ways of improving himself, overcoming his difficulties. He put pebbles in his mouth and he would articulate the words so that he could enunciate them very well. He would say out verses even when he was out of breath. To improve his lung capacity, he would run up a hill. And slowly he overcame his impediments. But he didn't achieve success in the beginning. When he began talking in front of people, he was booed down. He was rejected. he was outrightly made fun of. There he realized that importance of content. He knew it was just not speaking, it is about the way you make your speech. And then he learned the art of how to present a proper argument. And when the day came in court, he was able to convince the judges, and he brought the people who had done injustice to him to justice. Though he didn't get back all his property because they had already squandered it, he got noticed by the influential and the rich people of Greece. And that's where he began to climb. He became a speech writer, and his speeches were so powerful later on that he made a difference to a lot of people. You can even say, to a certain extent, he changed the course of history. So can you imagine those impediments and the achievement he had? Now let the other person whom I want to talk to you about is Abraham Lincoln. Many of us have heard about Abraham Lincoln and his achievements and his steadfastness and his resolution to do what he did. But let me tell you something about his very early background. Did you know that his father was a farmer? His father, they were in Kentucky. Then they shifted to Indiana. When they were in Indiana, they were so poor that his father had just about built a wooden cottage, a lodge, if you can say. And that's where they were living. There was no flooring on that. His father would do farming. And that was not enough to sustain the family, so they had to go hunting. So most of Abraham Lincoln's childhood was spent in farming. But his mother was very keen that he study. She was a lady of values, a very religious lady. She inculcated religious values and the importance of education. There was a school which was about 9 miles away, which you had to walk up. And even that didn't last long. But that's where the seed of education, the importance of education was sown in his breast. And he was eager to learn. When he was 9, his mother passed away. And he and his sister were left with absolutely no money. His father remarried. But luckily for him, his stepmother was kind enough. Even when she came, she had heard from the father that he was so keen in education, and learning and studying. So she brought 6 books with her. 6 books, and which included Pilgrim's Progress, Aesop's Fables, and the Life of Washington. With these books at home, and stepmother taught him how to read and write. And he started reading those books. Luckily, there's another school open which is close by to his farm, but that was also only for months. He had no formal education. One thing what he said, what he wrote in his biography, had a great impression on me. I want to share that with you. He said, I was so eager to learn. I wanted to read, but there was no books. There was no money to buy books. So only these 6 books were at home. I would read and reread and reread them so much that language became my language. That was his dedication. That was his passion. He never gave up. He continued. And today, and the world knows where he has reached. His Gettysburg speech is even spoken about today. He made a mark in the history of the world. He abolished slavery. Can you imagine, from a background like that to the heights he reached? Ladies and gentlemen, when people have done such wonders with so many difficulties, so many hardships, you and I, sitting here, are in a better position. We can achieve wonders. We can do great things. We live in an age of technology. Resources is not a problem for us. It's at our fingertips. We have organizations like this one who help us to achieve, who help us to progress. And we have the stock of all the speeches, all the history of the great men, everything in front of us. I'm sure if we make up our mind, we can be better, we can give better speeches than all of them. There were three great speeches, if you talk about the speech by Winston Churchill after the World War II, which he delivered to the House of Commons, and the speech of Martin Luther, which he said, the famous speech, I have a dream. If these are the benchmarks, and if we make up our mind, it won't be far away if we can excel upon them. We already know what they spoke, and today with our resources we can even be better. We can be, if we make up our minds to be the world champion of public speaking, there's nothing that can stop us. It is not our impediments. It is not our impediments which are holding back. It is not our resolution. Once we make up our mind that we are going to do it, and we are going to do everything what needs to be done, no matter how much the hardship. And lastly, never, ever, ever give up. If you have these three things, you can achieve anything. Therefore, ladies and gentlemen, I urge you, make up your mind and make a difference to this world. Back to the Toastmaster.